start. This is being video recorded to have access for your parents to watch it, and then also for the students who didn't come this morning to watch the video next week one morning when they have to come in at 7:15. So it's really important that we don't talk through this so that your voices are not on in the video. Yes, if you have questions at any point, please raise your hand and ask. Because there's a lot of things that we're going over, so it'd be natural that you have questions. Okay, so in 2 weeks, we will be down in Atlanta. You guys will be waking up, preparing to compete. So it's getting very close. So there's a lot of things that we're going to go over today about the details of the trip, and then also like things that you need to be doing to prepare for it. So this year we're at a different hotel. We're at the Hyatt Regency in Atlanta. Very nice. That's where the Hunger Games was filmed. So it's a great location. It's right there next to the Peachtree Center, where they have a food court. In fact, you don't even have to walk outside to get to the food court, because there's overpasses that get you there. So we're leaving on Thursday, February 26th, and we will return Saturday, February 28th. That Thursday, we're leaving around 9:30. So if you just want to put that down, write that down somewhere. And I'll send a reminder of the exact time that you'll report to my room to pick up your luggage and then report to the bus area. But just know that it's going to be around 9:30 that day, and I don't have a first period, so you'll be able to just put all your luggage in here, and then we'll pile out before third period begins. Saturday, we will be back around 1 o'clock probably. The award ceremony usually ends around 11:30 or 12. And then there's a quick meeting right after the award ceremony for those of you advancing to ICDC. So we'll stay for that and then head back. So just know that you'll be back around 12:31. You already paid the $180. Thank you all for turning that in on time. And it tells you right there everything that includes. One thing that's different this year is it does not include a shirt, so just know you will not be getting a state t-shirt. That cost extra this year, and we opted out of it. We weren't too crazy about the design of it, and we didn't think you guys would be either. So for those of you who ordered the DECA is Good shirt, that's what we're going to kind of consider our state shirt. And if you have not ordered one of those, we could place a second order, but we would need your order and your $20 to pay for it as soon as possible. And we've got a couple of people. Will you stand up and show the berry? So this is the berry color, and DeRose is sporting the chambray. Okay. So if you'd like to order one of those, just let us know. It would be the long sleeve, not the short sleeve, and they are $20 company offers. Okay. It's not mandatory. No, it's not mandatory, but I think the shirts are going to be a big hit at state. So additional money that you'll need for the trip, food for other meals. So there's going to be 2 breakfasts, Friday morning and Saturday morning. We are going to be asking for your parents to donate like breakfast bars and that kind of thing like we usually do. So that will be an option, but if you're wanting to go over to Chick-fil-A or wherever else to get breakfast, just know you'll need money for that. 2 lunches. You'll get lunch on Thursday and lunch on Friday. And then 1 dinner on Thursday night. Friday is taken care of, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. We will have snacks and water donated ahead of time by your parents, so we will keep that in our hospitality room, which we'll talk about more in a little bit for those of you who don't know what that is. All right, all of you will be divided up and be assigned a chaperone, and the way that we do that is by your room. If you have not seen the rooming list, we can, or I can print that out for my email. Actually, you just want to go pull it up. It's from Georgia DECA. That would have been like this past Monday. So you'll be assigned a chaperone. You will be responsible for checking in and letting your chaperone know where you are at all times. No matter where you go. And luckily this year we're at a great hotel that is connected to the Peachtree Center, so you really should not have to go outside ever. But anywhere you're going. So even like when you're leaving your room going down to compete, when you're leaving your room to go get breakfast or get lunch, check in, text your chaperone and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. And don't make us chase you down. But you will have their phone number. In fact, we have all of the adults that are going. All of their phone numbers are on the back of the sheet. And they will also have your phone number because you provided it to me on your field trip forms. Okay. All right, and then we'll let you know closer to time who your chaperone is going to be. I have not assigned those yet, so as soon as we do, we'll let you guys know who your chaperone will be. In terms of packing, you need to pack lightly. 1 suitcase per person, please. All of you, so there's 86 of you, every piece of luggage is going to have to fit on 1 school bus. Okay, that's a lot of luggage on 1 bus. So it's really important that you just stick to 1 suitcase. It's only 2 nights, okay? And you don't need a whole lot of outfits. Remember to bring pencils, especially if you're doing a role play, you'll need pencils. A phone charger is a must because that's how we're checking in with you, and a phone is a must. Okay, if you get grounded that week, you need to make it clear to your parents that you have to have a phone for state. And if you're concerned, your parents are not wanting to give you your phone back, then please come see us so that we can get in touch with them and let them know how important that is. The worst thing, the most inconvenient thing is when you get to state and we realize that you don't have a phone and we can't get in touch with you. Okay? So I need to add that to the things that are mandatory to bring a phone. But you need a charger to charge that phone. Those of you who are doing manual presentations, we never know what the weather is going to be like. You need to wrap your presentation boards in plastic or place them in big black trash bags and bring extra trash bags for coming home. Okay, that will keep them safe from getting scratched or if it's raining, whatever the situation is with the weather. But you will want to make sure that you put like a big piece of blue painter's tape. And that morning in my classroom, I'll have some painter's tape out. But you'll want to label with your names all over it so we know exactly who it belongs to. But the moms that you saw in the back, the moms who are chaperoning for us, they're going to go down early and they're actually going to take your DECA boards with them. So that morning, you will have to have your boards here before school. So before 8:25, because they're going to be coming around that time to load up their car and take the boards down to Atlanta. If you don't do that, your boards will end up on the luggage bus. And again, that's 86 suitcases moving around. Your boards are not going to be safe on that bus. So please make sure you've got your boards here before school that day. And then, well, I'll talk about the manual presentations more in a little bit. Photo ID is required for all events. So make sure you've got some type of photo ID, whether it's a driver's license, a learner's permit, or if you need us to print something for you here at school from Infinite Campus. If you don't have an ID yet, you just have to let us know that. And I know that counselors can assist with that as well, but you do have to have photo ID for all events. Professional dress is extremely important and very strictly enforced. There will be advisors who, that's their job at each of the competitive events when we get there, is to look at your dress when you're coming in to your event. And if they don't think that you're professionally dressed, you will not be allowed to be in front of the judges. So this is a great example. Not the ladies, don't pay attention to these ladies in the dresses, because everyone in here signed a pants pledge. We are doing that again this year. So these two are great examples of what to wear for competition, for the ladies, okay? And then Kevin is a great example of what to wear for the guys. So guys, you need to have dress pants, dress shoes, some type of dress shirt, a tie or a bow tie, and then all of you will have a DECA blazer. So all of you should know what it looks like because you should have tried one on already. And if you have not tried on a DECA blazer, so that we know your size, that needs to be done before you leave this room this morning, okay? Because that's going to take us time to figure out who's sharing with who, and we'll go over that in a few minutes too. But ladies, any type of dress pant, so skinny jeans do not count. Do not wear skinny jeans. Yeah, but khaki, there's some really great red pants out there that go well with the DECA blazer, or what other color? Some of my ladies that have been doing this for a while, what kind of pants do you
Khaki color is good, but not what you would consider khakis. Those aren't dress slacks.
Yeah, like these are dress
material,
khaki colored pants. But where are some places that y'all shop? My ladies go. Wow.
Express has
Company.
been
Huh?
Express.
Express. Okay. If you have a question about whether or not something that you've purchased is good for DECA competition, just come take a picture of it at home or take a picture of it on you and come show us, and we are more than happy to tell you if that will work or not. Another thing I would recommend, and my groups who have done this for a while will tell you, they like to match. So like the two girls will wear like the same color pants, same shirt. It looks really, really well put together when you walk in front of the judges when you're matching, and that you've obviously spent time preparing for this. It's not required that you match, you certainly don't have to. And then it also looks good like if it's a guy-girl group, when the guys and the girl coordinate. Coordinate their colors. So y'all let us know. You do not have to wear high heels. They do need to be closed-toed shoes, no open-toed shoes. Most of the girls wear heels. I'll just go ahead and tell you that. So nude heels are always safe. But you can also wear nude flats or any other dress flat. Okay. Like you'll see both of us wearing flats all weekend because we'll be running around so much. We will not be wearing heels. But you did sign that pants pledge, so there's no point even packing a dress or a skirt because you can't wear it. Or shorts. Do not pack shorts. It's going to be too cold. Okay. All right. And then, so the tentative agenda, again, I said that we're leaving at 9:30. We've got a few things going on that Thursday. So Asher and Amy will be doing that, and that's pretty early. I think that's at 12. We've got students who are running for state officer who will have their interviews, and then some of you in here will be in the preliminary round. You will compete on Thursday to see if you go on to compete on Friday. So what that means is some of your events are so big that they can't have everyone who's registered in the state to compete on Friday. So they have to narrow it down on Thursday, and then you compete on Friday. So some of you will present twice. Some of you will potentially present on Thursday and not make it on to Friday. And unfortunately, that's just how it goes. So, but we will know Thursday night if you advance or not. And I will know earlier that week. So probably not next week, but the following week, we will know exactly which groups are doing that preliminary round so that you'll be prepared. But that's why we're leaving so early that day. So you'll see that the manuals preliminary round starts at 1 and goes until 5. So we're leaving school early that morning. We're not stopping for lunch on the way down. We're going straight to the hotel for those of you who could be competing on Thursday so that you've got plenty of time to get settled.
And then you can walk across to get lunch and stuff.
Yeah. And then the opening session will be that night at 8 o'clock and curfew's at 11:30. So again, you're on your own for lunch and dinner that day. If you're making dinner reservations at one of those restaurants that's right around there, and I actually have a great list of all the restaurants that are around there if you want to come see me, you just need to make sure that reservation's early, like 5:30, 6, because we will meet to go into the opening session probably around 7. I do think that we will potentially have reserved seating. I'll have to ask Asher about that. But if we don't, then we are a group this size. We want to sit together. So we'll be standing outside the doors waiting for them to open. All right, and then Friday is the big day. That's when all of you are competing. So those of you who are doing any type of test and role play or job interview or business speech, you will be competing from 9 o'clock until 2 o'clock. And we will know your times the week before, so we'll know exactly what time you have to be down there. And then the manual presentations will be from 2 until 7 o'clock that day. All right, so role play in the morning, manuals in the afternoon. We have other things going on in the meantime though, because we've got, like I said, we've got 2 students, and it's actually on the back. We have 2 students running for state office this year, Emma Noble and Shay Murphy. And so they will have their campaign booths set up during 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock. So I know Emma's already got her people who are working her campaign booth. And then Shay, I think we were figuring that out, right? Okay. And so from 12 until 12:15, It's advisors and voting delegates only, and some of you are voting delegates. I think, Will, you're one. I picked some people who are test and role play competitors who would for sure be down with their event to count as voting delegates. And so I'll talk to you guys about that later. We were only allowed to take 3. But then after that, so 12:15 until 2, you guys can go in and support our 2 students who are running for state office. You can go in and visit their booth, and then also check out the competition as well. There's an expo going on, Foundation Expo, from 12 until 4, and then the election session where Emma and Shay will be giving their speeches will be between 4 and 5:30. So some of you will not be able to go to that because you will be competing in your manual presentation. But anyone who is not competing at that point, so all my test and role play people, everyone who had a manual presentation before that 4 o'clock mark, you will be expected to be at that election session to support our students, cheer them on when they get up on stage, and you will have to be dressed professionally for that as well. Okay, so just expect to be dressed professionally pretty much all day on Friday. So this is one of the big things that's different this year. Georgia DECA decided that they are not doing a DECA dance this year. And in place of that, they didn't really come up with anything. They just said that it's chapter time. Well, if you look at where our hotel is, it's right next to where the Sheraton is, where we've stayed the last couple of years. But there is nothing around there that we could walk to for a group our size. We can't go to the aquarium, can't go to World Coat. Nothing is close by. There's not a movie theater. So what we came up with is having our own movie night at the hotel. So what we're going to do, Mrs. Aaron, who is the state DECA advisor, she has agreed to let us use one of the ballrooms that she's got reserved for DECA. And then us and South are going to combine to have a movie night. So every single person in here will be at that movie night. That's what we're doing. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to let students choose the movies so that we're getting something that you guys will enjoy. And there are 160 of them, and we're bringing 86 of you. So that was something else I wanted to say. I was thinking about it driving in this morning. When we get to the award ceremony, we're going to hear South's name a lot. We're going to hear West's name a lot. And I don't want you to be discouraged by that because they are taking double the competitors that we're taking. So it's only natural. It's inevitable that we're going to hear their name a lot more than we hear ours. So keep that in mind. But we are, that's going to be a great time. We're going to do movie night. So right now we've got that time set for 7 o'clock just because that's when all the events are set to end. And then we will be ordering pizza for everybody. So you do not have to provide your own dinner that night because Lambert DECA is doing that for you. So we'll have pizza, we're going to have parents, and then cupcakes and cookies and brownies, and then we're saying, like, bring your yoga pants, ladies, and your big t-shirts, and bring down a pillow from your hotel room, blanket, whatever, and we're just going to chill. Okay, so it's kind of nice, right? Like, this is better than a DECA dance, I think. And we'll just have a good time. But I will say this, ladies, because if you look at the dress code, yoga pants are not allowed anywhere else. So that is the only place that you're allowed to wear yoga pants outside of your hotel room, okay? No pajama pants, no pajamas. I know that that's definitely not allowed. So no pajama pants, yoga pants only, and if you're wearing like one of those big shirts that covers you. And then curfew is at 11:30 that night, okay? Saturday will be an early morning. Your luggage will have to be downstairs before the award session, which starts at 9. And then, again, we'll return to Lambert probably around 1 o'clock. Yes?
I just have a question about the leggings. Are we allowed to wear them when we're down, or do you can, like, lift our jacket shirts?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah.
On the way down to the hotel. If they don't have an interview, I guess, or something going on.
Yeah, you do not have to be dressed professionally going down. And those of you who are going to be presenting on Thursday, you'll just have to decide. Because last year, I know we had girls like frantically changing in the bathroom before they were going into their event. So if you're presenting at 1 o'clock on Thursday, that's your call if you want to risk, who knows what could happen with traffic, and because we are going to be heading down into rush hour. So
And sometimes we get there and our rooms aren't all ready because we need so many hotel rooms. Sometimes they are.
oh yeah, definitely do not count on our hotel room being ready when we get down there. That's pretty much a guarantee because we're getting there way before check-in time. So chances are, if you're competing that day, you're going to end up changing one of the hotel restrooms. So just, yeah, that was a good call. So just know that. But yeah, going down there, you guys can be casual. Like we probably will be, I don't know. Anyways. All right, so competitors are expected to behave respectfully at all times. You guys are representing Lambert. You need to represent us well. This includes being polite and respectful to all competitors, chaperones, and advisors. I don't know what it is. This last week I've had issues with students being rude to parents. So that is not okay. These parents who are coming with us are giving up their time to be there. So we need to make sure that we are treating them with utmost respect. Okay?
If they didn't go, we couldn't shake you.
Yeah, exactly. We have to have them. So if you do not place at state, when you return any materials that we've given you to help prepare, we need you to return those to us. That next bullet point, hospitality room for Lambert, thanks to Mrs. Mapes, we do have a hospitality room now. And another exciting thing, somebody, you can meet them there. Parents will be in there all day to listen to presentations. We will be in there when we are not working, whatever assigned duty we have. And then anything that you guys need, hopefully we'll have that room. Actually, we'll have it on Thursday. So when we get to the hotel, before we get our hotel rooms, we'll put all of our luggage in there so it's safe. Before you guys get your room. So just know we're sharing with South, and that's awesome because really we're all on the same team. Like when we go to Orlando in April, and we're all pulling for one another. We just want to hear Georgia's name when we're at that award ceremony. All right, blazers. The reason that we had you come to try one on is so that we know what size you are, and also because we do not have enough blazers for every single one of you to have your own. So those of you who already own your own blazer, that's great. You'll bring yours. You don't have to worry about sharing with anybody. But most of you in here do not have your own DECA blazer. So we will be assigning you based on like your event and what time you're competing. We will match you up with somebody who has a much different time, and you will switch with them. But the person who will have the blazer first will be responsible for picking it up that week of competition. So probably the day before, that Wednesday, because we probably won't know the times until that week anyway. So we're not going to be able to assign who has which blazer until we know what those competition times are. So just know that the day before we leave for state, a lot of you in here will be required to come in and pick up your blazer. And do not hoard that in your room. You have to be in good contact with the person that you're sharing with. But that would not be fair to put them at risk of not having a blazer to go in front of the judge, because you have to wear a blazer in front of the judge. Bus lists will be made closer to time. We'll have 2 student buses and 1 luggage bus. We'll make sure that you're like with your group members so that you guys can practice on the way down. So that's how it will be arranged. Now, whether or not you're with your other friends and other groups, I don't know, but it's a short bus ride. At the award ceremony, the top 7 in the individual and team test and role plays will move on to ICDC, and the top 6 in manual groups will go on to ICDC. So just so that you guys know that ahead of time. And again, all of our phone numbers are right there. Definitely make sure you have the advisors' cell phone numbers in your phone. That's going to be really important, because if you have a question or an emergency and you need to get in touch with us while we're at state, you need to have those numbers. So if you don't already have them in your phone, I would go ahead and plug them in now. But please do not text us until state.
You can figure out which chaperone is yours, and then you'll be able to put that person's in as well. But
Yeah.
you might just have ours.
Yeah. So some things to pack. just, the basics, phone charger, professional dress for all 3 days. So you will have to have professional dress for the opening ceremony, and again, that's pants, no dresses. So opening ceremony, your competition, if you're competing Thursday and Friday, I would just recommend wearing the same outfit both times. And then for Saturday morning for the award ceremony, you also have to have professional dress. Again, pants pledge, it has to be pants. So that's 3 outfits that you will need.
Pants are easy to rewear, you don't have to have a different pair.
Yeah, just get different tops,
Yeah.
and that saves on the packing too. I would definitely pack any DECA t-shirts you have, jeans, or ladies, your leggings or yoga pants. And then, again, the money, if you want your own snacks for your rooms, we will be asking for donations of those. And then you should have provided me your cell phone number and your parents' cell phone numbers on your field trip form. That should be at the very top of that front page. Other important reminders are that we have role play practices on Tuesday and Thursday mornings at 7:45. There is a lot of information available to you guys on Competition University, and for those of you who have taken advantage of that, you know how helpful it's been. It helped you to not only write your manual, give you a guideline for that, but it also helps you with preparing that oral presentation, and it has sample role plays on it as well. So I highly recommend continuing to use that as you prepare for competition.
And there's also those little books.
Yes. Yeah, and if you're in a any type of test and role play event besides the principals events, which I have exciting news about that, they are coming out with study materials for that April 1st. So April 1st I will be ordering the study materials for the principals events. Because really those are the ones that need it the most. Those are our first year competitors and members. But everyone else who's doing any type of test and role play, we've got samples of that, like brand new things that I ordered, okay? So come and take advantage of those. Your field trip forms and copy of insurance are due today, preferably this morning before you leave my room. But I know some of you, your teachers have been out this week and you're gonna get those signatures this morning. Just bring them to me as soon as possible. And then, if you have any conflicts that require different transportation arrangements, like I've already had one parent emailing me about it, you need to see me as soon as possible because there is a form that your parents have to fill out and sign before we go down there. So just let me know. Or sometimes parents come down and go to the award ceremony, and then they take you home in their car. But that's something we have to have that letter ahead of time, okay? But on the same note, your parents are welcome to come down and watch the award ceremony in person if they would like to. And then, of course, it would just be natural. It makes sense for them to take you home to their vehicle. Okay?
So we do have to have that form.
Yeah, you can't just leave. Like when we're doing attendance in the bus, you have to be there if we didn't know about it ahead of time.
So that would be like if you have a game that night, sometimes we have people have games on like Friday night or wherever they need to go and then they come back. We just have to have written that says they're going to pick you up and bring you back.
And the other thing about that is if, let's say that Molly's mom comes down to watch the award ceremony and then she wants to take home Rachel and Camille too, I have to have, well that wouldn't make sense because your mom's going to be there, but anyway, I'd have to have a signed form from Camille's mom saying, yes, it's okay that Camille rides home with Molly's mom. Okay, so you don't just assume that just because your friend's parents are there that you can ride home with them, because you can't. We don't have signed consent for that. Yeah, I'm guessing they will. The past few years, they've put the award ceremony online, a live feed of it, so your parents, and if that happens, I always send an email to your parents with the link so that they can watch it from home to see if you place. And then I've mentioned this a couple times now, but we are very excited to have 2 of our very own running for state office this year. Yeah, we can give them a round of applause. So Emma, back here, today. That is very exciting. We've had Asher as state officer the last couple of years, and that is just really cool when your own is getting up on stage. And but I will say competition is tough this year. They are running against a lot of people, so whereas in the past it's not been the case. So we're gonna need to support them and talk them up when we're at competition. Because I mean, that's almost like another competitive event. Like that's a big deal if we get state officers, especially if we get 2. Because this year the team is only gonna be 6 people. So it's a small state officer team. So you guys, if y'all can just talk it up with, like, when you're preparing for your event, just be like, hey, you know, vote for Shay Murphy and Emma Noble, and help us to get those wins as well. All right, I've got a few things that I need to talk to my manual competitors about, and then we'll open it up for any questions that you guys might have. So manual competitors, we have business people coming in starting on Tuesday morning. So it'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the following Monday, Tuesday. Every single manual group has to present in front of business professionals at least once. There will probably be some open slots at the end that if you want to present twice, and I recommend that, like if you really want to make it to ICDC, get that first place, presenting twice means that you need to have your oral presentation done this weekend so that you are prepared to present early next week. I will be sending a link for Sign Up Genius today. You will need to go on and sign up for the time that you're coming in. A couple of things about that. You need to be here at least 10 minutes early to make sure that you're set up and ready to go and that all your team members are here. You have to show up. It is not okay to sign up for a time and then not show up. These people are taking time out of their work schedules to come and to help you guys out, and this is awesome. This is a really cool thing that we're providing. Not every school can do this, okay? So be here early, especially like if you're running late, do not show up with like Starbucks in your hand. So be on time. You need to have your oral presentation done, so I would have some type of note card that you're looking at. You do not necessarily have to have your boards completely done when you come in to present. What I would recommend is having a layout, a sketch of what they will look like, or even bringing your boards in and having like sticky notes with where you're going to place things on your board. And then they can assist you and say, hey, you know, I would recommend not having that on your board or putting this here or adding this. But it is helpful to have some type of visual for them. So, are you going to be talking about the printing?
Yeah, I mean, just let me know.
Yes,
Okay.
yep, got that. But in terms of creating the oral presentation, some of you have done this for a long time, so you know what you're doing. But will you actually grab the DECA guide over there, or go to DECA.org? So on DECA.org, if you pull up your event, the guidelines for your event, that's where you should have been following the guidelines for the written portion. But they have guidelines for the oral presentation as well. So it talks about the presentation judging, so you can see the directions that the judges will get. It's got guidelines for your presentation itself, and then there's also an oral presentation rubric. So my recommendation is to make sure that you are hitting all of those points on that oral presentation rubric. And a lot of the rubrics consist, like a large portion of what they're evaluating you on, are 4 questions that the judges are being told they have to ask you. And it's not a specific question, but it's like, it'll be worded like question on the proposed budget. So you know going into this, the judges are going to ask you a question about your proposed budget. So if you already have that on your board, you're talking about it, it's like you've got a chart for it, you're talking about it, then when they get to that question, they're either going to say, you know what, you addressed that really well, or they're still going to ask you the question. You can say, like we mentioned earlier, and you'll already have your answer. Okay, but there's no reason to not be prepared for those questions. There it is, go back up him. Okay, so presentation guidelines, you will definitely want to read through this, and then scroll down, and you've got the judges, this is what the judges are given, so here's those 4 questions I was talking about, okay? And all of you have this is in all of your guidelines, and then keep scrolling down. So then here's the oral presentation evaluation form. Okay, so you can see that 4 of the items on here, 4 of the 6, are on those questions. Okay, so if you're catering your whole presentation to this, then there's no way they're not going to give you 10 sixes all the way down, as long as what you're telling them sounds legit. Okay? So y'all know how to get a perfect score on the presentation. You've got it right here. Okay? Please take advantage of that. With your note cards that you create, for the final copy of the note cards, what I recommend is printing out the logo of the company that you worked with or the company that you created and color, make it look nice, and paste it to the back of the note card. And then make sure you number the note cards, you know, who is doing which part, they're numbered. Another thing I would do is, like, if you're switching boards on the easels, then maybe write a note on the card, like, Molly switched this board at this time, so that it's like a reminder on the note card, you know what to do. And then I would also put a hole punch in the top corner and put one of these little rings that I've got up here. You can get those at Office Max or Staples. Put that in the top corner. We've definitely had students in the past who went into their oral presentation. They were so nervous they dropped their note cards and they didn't have a ring in them. So then they're frantically scrambling, trying to get them back in the right order, and time is a ticking at that point. Because as soon as you go into that judge's booth, the time starts. Most of you only have 10 minutes to present, some of you have 15, and then an additional 5 minutes for questions. Okay? And they will hold you to that for sure. So that's what I recommend with your note cards, getting them laminated. It just looks really nice, and you can do that at any of the office supply stores. They've got the stuff to be able to do that. Along the same lines, so a lot of you have been asking how many boards you can have. You can have one trifold and then 2 of the smaller foam boards that you see, like these are all the small foam board size. So use that many if you want. You can use both sides, you can use the back of the trifold, or you can just use one trifold if you don't have that much information to put on your boards. But that's the maximum you're allowed to have. You're also allowed to use technology. So you can take a laptop in if you want to. You can, we've had students use, we have Surface tablets that you can check out. So I've already had one group check them out. I know I'm having another one check one out today. But that's what we got the Surface tablets for last year, is for you guys to use in your DECA presentations. So if you want to use one, you just need to come see me to check it out, and of course take really good care of it and turn it back in after state. But you can also use your own Surface tablet. You can use an iPad, and with that, what I would recommend is getting one of those wireless presenters. The USB goes into the Surface tablet, and all you have to do is click a button to go on to the next slide of whatever software you're using. Or I know that there's apps with your phones that can make that happen. Just do not bank on having Wi-Fi wherever you are. That's not a guarantee. So whatever you do needs to operate without Wi-Fi. Also, you can only have 2 easels. And I don't know yet if I'm guessing they're going to provide one, and then you'll use one of ours. You cannot have 3 easels. You can only have 2. There's not enough space for 3. So however you're planning out your presentation, you'll want to practice like who's using which board when, who's moving them or switching them or turning them, where you're standing, knowing that, I mean, each booth is literally like the size of one of these tables, maybe a little bit bigger. And so you've got easels set up, and then some of your groups there's 2, some of you there's 3. So just figuring out ahead of time where you're going to stand. And like if Brianna's talking about one point, then maybe Susie or Belinda is pointing to it on the board while she's talking. It just looks really smooth when you've practiced all that, which is why we're doing these presentations to the professionals ahead of time. But we will have to know next week how many easels you're going to need for your presentation. So over the weekend, as you're planning out your oral presentation and you're figuring out the layout of your boards, you also need to figure out how many easels you'll need, which you'll know once you know how many boards you're going to have, okay? Because that's another thing that you guys are going to have to share. We only have 17 easels, so there's 37 manual groups. You guys will have to share easels, so we'll come up with a schedule for who's trading with who. But some of you will only need 1 easel, and if they've got that there for you, then you won't have to even use one of ours. But the easels we will be taking down in our own vehicles to, and then you'll just get them once we get down there. So you will not be responsible for checking out the easel ahead of time, just the Blazer and or the Surface tablet if you choose to use that. We do only have 12 Surface tablets, so that's on a first come first serve basis. You just have to come see me if that's something you want to do. And then also, we do have the capabilities here to, will you grab that Jules board out of the back? We have the capabilities to print for your manual boards. It is much cheaper to do it here than it is at like an Office Max or a Staples by like half. So I would recommend you utilizing that service that we have here. Mr. DeRose is the one that is an expert on that. There is a template on the L drive. Okay, there's a lot of things on the L drive for you guys, like pictures of past presentation boards, examples of manuals and all that. But there is a template in this year's competition folder for you guys to design your boards on the computer and then for it to be printed. So this was last year. We had a group for Jules Candles. So all of that was printed from our printer. Okay, you can see that looks really nice. Do you have to do it that way? No. Can you still buy the letters and paste them on yourself? Yes. Can you paint? Yes. Just know that we have this available for you. What I will say about this, if you are not really comfortable with the Illustrator software that DeRose teaches in his classes, you need to allow yourself plenty of time to learn that. We do have it on all of our computers. If you have a Mac, you have it. But just as an example, Amy Hemmicky has been designing her boards for her presentation, and she's been working on it for a couple of weeks now. She's really not comfortable with the software. So she's having to learn the software at the same time as she's designing her boards. And of course, you don't want anything to look pixelated either. So she's been going back and forth with that. But raise your hand if you are comfortable using Illustrator, that you've been taught it in one of the classes or you just know how to use it. So if you look around the room, these are people that you could ask for assistance if, sorry, I'm assuming you guys are okay with that. If you are not comfortable with it, these are people that you can ask. But you will have to use that template that DeRose has created for you for the sizing to be right.
And
Anything else?
yeah, no, just real quick. Here's the thing. Last year, everybody's like, oh, we're just going to kind of do our board. And then all of a sudden, one group prints this out in a day. And you guys wait till the very last minute to do your board. And you're like, oh, wow, they printed theirs out in 5 minutes. I'm just going to go to DeRose and have mine printed out in 5 minutes. Okay, what you need to, like Ms. Mathis said, it takes time to set that stuff in Illustrator. You can talk to some of these people. You can come in during my second or fourth period, depending on what class you have, to work on it. But what's not going to happen is the day or two before we're getting ready to leave, last year I had 30 people lined up wanting me to print stuff out, and they've never used Illustrator, and they didn't save it on a flash drive, and they didn't save it as a PDF. So then all of a sudden now I'm, backed up, and last year I had one person who's like, yeah, I think I'll try it. I was like, yeah, you'll be the guinea pig. Next thing I know, there's 35 people wanting to do it because you waited till the last minute and it's quick and easy, which it is, but doing Illustrator to make it look good, to make it look like that, it's not going to happen overnight, okay? So if you want to do, like they said, start on it now, ask some of these people, you're welcome to come in now, but don't wait till the last minute. I'm going to send you to Staples or Office Max or wherever, and you guys can pay the 80, 90, 120 bucks to get the thing printed out. We are the cheapest and most convenient because I do it in my room, print it out, stick it on, done. All right, now you might be able to find the same price, but you're going to have to wait. If they mess up, you're going to, whatever. So just...
And a couple more things about that. Make sure that it's perfect before you print, because if we print one and it's wrong, you're still paying for the one that's incorrect, okay? We're not going to just keep printing it for you until it's right and then charge you that. It's $50 total for the inside, right? $25.
Yeah, well, I was telling them 20 for 24 by 36, $20. So
Okay.
depending on how, and with that said, last thing I'll say is if you want to do like stickers, you can make a design and fit all of the stickers into 24 by 36 and just print that out, and then you can cut them out and stick them on your board wherever you want, so it's a little bit cheaper. All right, so if you want to make a design, fit them into 24 by 36, print the whole thing out, cut them out, and then paste them on or glue them on, whatever.
But this would be great, like when you come in to do your presentation for the business people, if you had something on your computer that you could show them, these are our boards. So basically it's an illustrator. This is what our boards look like. Do you have any recommendations for how we could change it? And then at that point, you pretty much got your boards done, because once that prints, all you have to do is spray the spray adhesive on, and or do we have the stickers?
We have both.
Okay, we got both, the sticky paper and the regular paper. So you're either like just peeling and pasting on, or you're spraying spray adhesive and putting on. So that can be a huge time saver, or at least just take the same amount of time, but then you also don't have to worry about letters falling off. But you do have to make sure you put it on perfectly so there's no bubbles. So just know that that's available to you, but yeah, we're not going to be printing these all the day before we leave. And we'll send a text out and remind and let you know what the last day is that we're going to print, but we're not going to be doing that because that's really not fair to DeRose to wait until the day before and then to put the pressure on him.
At some point, it may become impossible.
And your boards need to be done before then so that you can be practicing. The most ideal situation would be for you to go in front of those judges and not even have to use your note cards because you know your presentation. That I wanted to tell you is that all of the first place competitors at state get your registration paid for Orlando. And that's $110 that you will not have to pay for ICDC. That saves a lot of money. So the goal is not only to place at state to go to Orlando, the goal is to get first place so that it saves you money. And how cool is that to walk away with the first place title? Okay. A couple of things that were up here. If you're not, I think all of you are on the Remind or whatever type of event you're in. If you're not though, I've been sending out reminders, really important things. You need to be signed up for it, so they're up here. Your field trip forms are due today, and if you have not typed your parent email into the spreadsheet on the computer, I need you to go over next to my desk and do that real fast. So before you leave, or DECA Blazers,